Hello and welcome again to Travels Through Tea. We are on day 7 of our 24 teas of Christmas, and today we're looking at a sweet Himalayan detox green tea. There is so much to unpack in that statement. Sweet. The tea itself is not sweet. It comes like all other teas from the Camellia sinensis plant. So obviously floral and other spices have been added to it to give it that sweetness. So that's the first thing. Himalayan. We won't get into this deeply today, but teas, like wines, have different flavors based on where they grow, the type of soil they're in, the climate. So this one's from the Himalayas, so obviously from a much higher altitude, which is also going to give a different sense of flavor. Like I said, we'll get into that more later. Detox. What does detox mean? Detox means that it is full of phytonutrients. Phytonutrients are natural chemical compounds produced by plants. They include such things as carotenoids, ellagic acid, flavonoids. I'm not a doctor, I'm a historian. Ask your doctor more about that if you would like. They're generally thought to be in public use for weight loss or colon cleansing. In truth, what they do is antioxidants are molecules that fight and neutralize free radicals. So what is a free radical? A free radical is an unstable molecule that can harm your cells and contributes to things like diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. So obviously things that carry phytonutrients, which are anything, plants basically. So teas, some of the other plants that I'm sure they've included in here, which again, this company, like a good winery, will not reveal its secrets. So I don't know exactly what's in their tea. But fruits, vegetables, all of those things contain these phytonutrients. So what about green tea? Okay, I'm going to try and keep this short and sweet. White tea, green tea, and black tea all come from the same plant, the Camellia sinensis plant. That's what tea means. White tea is the new growth buds and the young leaves of the plant. And as big as these plants can get, it's almost always just the first 3 or 4 leaves on a branch that will be taken for all the different teas. But with white tea, it's the new growth buds and the young leaves. Green tea refers to the fully grown green leaf, but it is processed in a different way. It's steamed and scalded for several minutes and then rolled and dried. So it maintains a very different flavor, its greenness, if you will. Black tea, again, the same leaf, the green leaf, but it's oxidized or fermented and then rolled and dried. And they give us very distinct flavors, again, depending on where they're grown, the altitude in which they're grown, the soil in which they're grown. They give us all these different flavors, just like a rosé from one winery is going to taste very different than a rosé from another winery. It comes down to those sorts of things. And then white tea, new buds, green tea, processed using steaming and scalding, black tea processed using oxidization or fermentation. So you might ask, well, then what about rooibos? Rooibos red tea from South Africa. It's actually not a tea. It's an herbal infusion or a tisane, like we talked about before. It's also called bush tea, red bush tea, and it just comes from a completely different plant, but it is steeped and served much as we serve other teas, so we call it a tea. Matcha, you want to know about matcha, is actually tea. It's the finely ground powder of a processed green tea leaf, very popular in Korea and other parts of East Asia. All right, so let's look at this sweet Himalayan detox. This one is new to me. I have not had it before. I can tell you that when I was steeping it, it smelled very light. And very fruity. And it still does. It is not like a black tea will have a very strong flavor. Green teas tend to have, of course, their own sort of flavor, but then also they tend to be a little bit lighter. So let's look at this. How beautiful is that? Green tea, of course, from using the green leaf as opposed to a black tea where it's an oxidized and fermented leaf that turns black. but also a little bit green in color, if you can see that. Really quite beautiful. Smells amazing. And I want to see how sweet this is. I'm trying to decide. It actually smells fruity, as though they've put some sort of fruit in there. But almost a pear-like smell, though I doubt there's a pear in there. But I don't know. There very well could be. And oh my gosh. It tastes a little citrusy, very light, almost slightly kind of grapefruity with like a pear, but it is truly sweet. You would not need to add any sugar to that whatsoever. So we will see how that affects me, hopefully in all the right ways and not the wrong ways, being detox. But obviously it'll be good for you no matter what you do. And that, if you get the chance to get a sweet Himalayan detox green tea, oh, please do. It's light, it's delicious. It would make a lovely iced tea. If you've ever had water that's infused with like cucumber or berry, it's along those same sorts of, that same line. Very light, but flavorful and delicious. All right, thank you so much for joining me. I will see you on day 8.